Yeah, after this section, you will.
Well, good afternoon, folks. We're going to, first of all, introduce everybody without any introduction. I want to welcome, first of all, Governor Andrew Cuomo. He's joined by Senator Dean Skelos, Assembly Speaker Sheldon Silver. I would congratulate these three gentlemen on an outstanding second session. I want to thank you. Also joined today by Howard Glazer, Director of State Operations, John Osborne, who is the President and CEO of BBDO, and also Ken Adams from Empire State Development, and Lisa Eve, our Deputy Secretary. As I mentioned, this is the end of a great second session, and today we're going to be unveiling a business marketing campaign for New York State. And as many of you in the room know, everywhere you go around the state, there's a different feel about New York, a sense of spirit and a confidence that's building. And I think today you'll just get re-energized by what you have to hear. So without any further ado, it gives me a great pleasure to introduce the great speaker of our Assembly, Speaker Sheldon Silver.
Well, thank you for your kind introduction. Things are moving very smoothly, and we are working cooperatively in a bipartisan fashion and expect to close down this session in daylight today. This legislative session, in fact, the last 18 months, forms a record of leadership and achievement unparalleled in recent memory. And this is due in no small part to Governor Cuomo, whose leadership and willingness to listen and to work with the legislature has made all the difference when you compare the last 18 months to previous administrations. Of course, the success of this session is the product of a solid working partnership that also includes Senator Dean Skelos and our colleagues in the Senate as well. I can't say enough about the performance of my colleagues in the Assembly on both sides of the aisle. Their hard work, their passion for service, their wisdom, and their patience helped us to deliver an exceptionally productive legislative session. We certainly faced a plethora of challenges. With the leadership of our Ways and Means Committee Chair, Denny Farrell, we helped bring about the enactment of the second consecutive on-time budget and fiscally sound budget on a number of complex and high-profile issues, including historic measures to expand the DNA data bank and to create the Justice Center for the protection of people with special needs. We worked with the administration, and through the committee process and floor debate, we transformed good ideas into better legislation. Before I return to the Assembly chamber to wrap up our business, I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge and to thank Chairman Denny Farrell, Majority Leader Ron Canestrari, who is retiring from the Assembly after more than 2 decades of service. Our Speaker Pro Tem, who's sitting in the chair right now that says Speaker, Assemblyman Peter Rivera, who this governor wisely appointed by the governor as State Labor Commissioner and was confirmed by the Senate yesterday. And to all of our committee chairs on a job very well done. Although the session is coming to an end, all of us know that the work is never really finished. That said, we look forward to working with the governor, with Lieutenant Governor Duffy and our colleagues in the Senate to continue building on our successes, which means a better quality of life for all New Yorkers.
It's a great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, our Senate Majority Leader, Senator Dean Skelos, followed by Governor Cuomo.
Thank you very much. Governor, you had me to the left of you today. It is it's been a great session, and we are concluding what I believe is one of the most productive and orderly legislative sessions I've been a part of. I do want to thank you, Governor, for your leadership, and Speaker, for your partnership. Without the three of us talking to each other and understanding where there is common ground and sometimes where there are differences, and the entire legislature understanding that, the accomplishments that we've had, not just for this year, but for the last 2 years, would not have happened. And we truly have built on the record of accomplishment we started last year and have continued to move New York State forward. We passed an early budget the second year in a row, a budget that did not include any new taxes or fees and once again reduced state spending. We closed a deficit of nearly $3 billion, and we enacted a new program to create jobs in every part of New York State. We expanded the DNA data bank to give law enforcement new tools to fight crime. We enacted pension reform, and we approved a takeover of the local share of Medicaid growth, saving counties billions of dollars. With the governor's leadership, we passed ISTOP, the Justice Center, and legislation to combat child pornography and cyberbullying and domestic violence. All of these good things happened because Republicans in the Senate and Democrats in the Assembly worked together with Governor Cuomo to make Albany function again. Over the last 2 years, our priorities have been the people's priorities, and I'm proud to say that we've accomplished the vast majority of them. There's more to do, and as always, we stand ready to do the people's business. I believe that, Governor, there is an ad that will be hitting the state airwaves shortly, and I think it really picks up where we are leaving off as a legislative governing body of New York State. We've made the people of New York State proud of their government, and they're proud of the government because of the leadership that you've shown, the leadership that all the members of the legislature have shown. So I'm very proud to be part of this process, and I thank you, Governor, once again, our great governor, Governor Cuomo.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the kind introduction, Dean. Thank you. First, to my colleague, Senate Majority Leader Dean Scalos and Speaker Sheldon Silver, I say hearty congratulations on a session really, really well done. And the people of the state of New York should be proud of the service they've received from the legislature this year. To our colleagues from ESDC, it's a pleasure to be with you. Our friends from BBD&O, who have been working on the state's business campaign that they're going to unveil in a moment. It's a pleasure to be with them. I know that the Senate leader and the speaker would have been very disappointed if this event did not have one last slideshow presentation from me. I know they didn't want to start the summer without just a few vague PowerPoint presentations. It is important as we wrap up this session that we remember the context for the session, and the speaker has been speaking to it the past few weeks, as has the Senate leader. But the 235th legislative session has done exceptional work. I believe that this legislative session is one of the most successful in modern political history when you look at the accomplishments and the breadth of the accomplishments that have been performed. This session, I was kidding the other day that this session really never started, never ended. It was just one continuum. You know, in the old days, the legislative session would come down to literally a couple of weeks, and the legislature would be meeting and talking, but there'd only be a few weeks of actual legislation, and then it would all happen in one rush. When you look at what's gone on through this legislative session, it's been constant for 18 months. There's 5 chapters to the story. What we did last March, what we did June, what we then came back and did in December, and then this March around the budget, and what we're now finishing. And when you look at the accomplishments in each of those 5 chapters, you'll see that we have been consistently producing for the people of the state. And we have been accomplishing major feats for 18 months. You'll also see that we've done it in a matter of formats. You know, sometimes we've done great things when we had a number of issues that were linked, basically. mutuality, and sometimes we've done it with just freestanding issues that the public was concerned about, that we debated, and that we passed. When you look at the record of the reform that we brought all across the board, the economic reform, the reform to government, and the social reform, as the New York Times likes to say, I think it was historic. You look at the economic reform, the tax reductions that we brought, lowest rate in 58 years for the middle class, property tax cap, two on-time budgets, the whole concept of entrepreneurial government, regional councils. Government reform, we did a Medicaid reform that they said was impossible. They wrote that the MRT was going to fall on its face. Turned out to be a great, great success. Government consolidation. We changed the way we do budgets, so we now have performance grants and formula funding. And social reform, prison closures, juvenile justice reform, ending fingerprinting for food stamps because hunger is not a crime, prescription drugs, inner-city youth hiring, domestic violence, marriage equality. So when you look at the breadth of accomplishment, economic, social, governmental, I think you see it really was an extraordinary piece of work. And it is also simple at the end of the day. When you put that level of reform together, that level of economic reform and social reform and government reform, this is a different state than it was 18 months ago. It is a new New York. We said we were going to bring performance, integrity, and pride back to state government, and as the Senate leader said, we did what we said we would do. We stood up 18 months ago, and we said that we were going to work together, work cooperatively, we were going to put the politics aside, we were going to stress commonality, and we were going to make the government work to produce for the people of this state. 18 months later, we did just that. I applaud my colleagues. I applaud the Senate leader and every member of the Senate. I applaud the Speaker and every member of the Assembly. They did such fantastic work, and it was such a dramatic turnaround. This was the government that wasn't working for many, many years. It's now a government that is establishing national records. And the congratulations go to my colleagues, and I'm proud to share it with them today. This is all about, what was the whole effort about? Making government work, making government work. The effort to make government work is so that you make the state work, right? So that the state's business climate is better, so that jobs are coming back to New York, and so that New York works. And that takes us to the second part of today's presentation, which is the New York Works, New York Open for Business campaign that we've been talking about for a matter of months. It's now coming to fruition. And I'll turn it over to Howard Glazer to talk to you about the New York Open for Business campaign.
Thank you, Governor, for that kind introduction. From his first State of the State address, Governor Cuomo has emphasized that job number one for this administration is job growth, business investment, and economic development. But there's a challenge. Every day, New York State is in competition with other states to recruit businesses to New York State. Connecticut is spending $27 million promoting its state. Michigan, $25 million. New Jersey ran a campaign to recruit businesses featuring its governor. Florida's governor, in March of this year, wrote to the top 100 companies in New York inviting them to come to a warmer climate. None did, by the way, I will note. California spent $50 million on a campaign to promote its state. So we have to compete for business in the state, and we also have to help our existing businesses grow and expand. As part of that effort, the state's budget this year and last included funding to improve the state's marketing to attract and grow business. Today, the Empire State Development Corporation will be launching the marketing phase of that effort, which is designed to marry existing and prospective businesses with the tremendous resources and innovative business programs that New York State has to offer. The campaign was developed by BBD&O, one of the largest international advertising firms, which is based here in New York State. working with Ken Adams and his team at Empire State Development Corporation. John Osborne, the President and CEO, in a moment will take you through the campaign and the thinking behind it and show you the ads. But I also want to acknowledge that many business leaders in the state have provided us input and feedback on all of our programs, and I want to acknowledge the ones that are here today and took the time to be with us for this exciting launch. We have with us Tom Tranter, who's the President of Corning Enterprises and also is a member of the Governor's New York Open for Business Council, which has helped us throughout this process. We have Robert Shea, the Chief Financial Officer of FIA, USA Dairy Industry, part of the yogurt powerhouse that's being built in upstate New York. We have Dan Gobel, the Vice President and General Manager of BAE Systems from the Southern Tier. Bob Blackman, the Board Chair of the Center for Economic Growth. Steve Craig, the President and CEO of Commerce Shenango. Gary Douglas, our friend from the North Country, President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. Mike Durant, the State Director of the National Federation of Independent Business. Elaine Calleros, Senior Vice President and CEO of the College of Nanoscale Science and Engineering College. Mark Egan, President and CEO of the Albany Colony Chamber of Commerce, is with us. Ernest Fazio, Chairman of the Long Island Metro Business Alliance, Metro Business Action. Allison Grems, the President and CEO of the Canandaigua Area Chamber of Commerce. Mark Kilmer, Interim President of Fulton County Chamber of Commerce. Chris Murray, President of the Nassau County Chambers of Commerce. Lynn Petrosky, President and CEO of Watertown Chamber. Al Samuels, the President and CEO of the Rockland Business Association. And Mike Tucker, the President for the Center of Economic Growth. Appreciate all of you being here and taking the time today and all of your assistance in helping us build New York State programs. With that, John Osborne, the President and CEO of BBD&O, will tell you about the campaign, take you through the thinking of BBD&O in developing it, show you the ads, and John is also joined by his creative team from BBD&O sitting behind him.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you, Governor, team. BBD&O is simply delighted and thrilled to be working on this campaign. We are indeed a New York State business, headquartered here for over 100 years. We work with many clients who make New York their home, and we have hundreds of employees that live across the state. In the business world, New York State has been known for its historical legacy of skill, dedication, and getting results as the place to do business in the United States and around the world. In looking at history, New York is and has always been a place of firsts. We've led the way in many areas. Some examples. We opened commerce to the country with the building of the Erie Canal. We pioneered engineering feats in the building of bridges and buildings. And we also built the first railway. The fact of the matter is that these and many other business firsts have helped build New York State into the world's 11th largest economy. In rolling up our sleeves, the first thing we did, as we do for really any client that we work with, is we wanted to truly understand what was in the hearts and on the minds of business decision makers. So we conducted interviews with New York State business executives, non-New York State business executives, small companies, large companies, and site selectors. And what we learned was there was a perception that New York State had lost its edge on being in the business of doing business. We heard things like high taxes and bureaucracy. But as we really dug into this, as we dug into what's going on across this state, we learned about what's really going on here today. We discovered that there's a compelling story that can and it should be told. We discovered that there truly is a new reality in New York State, that there's a strong and focused vision on making New York State once again a great place for business to do business. New York State is a place for businesses to grow, thrive, and expand, bringing with it jobs and revenue. As you can see here from the slide, there are many other proof positives. But don't take my word for it, or BBD&O's for that matter, because the fact is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce released a report last week that takes note of the new business climate in the state. The report states that New York State is in the top 10 for new business creation, higher education, broadband availability. New York State is in the top 15 for job growth in 2011, college affordability, and entrepreneurial activity. And that's the story that needs to be told to the business community, both inside the state and outside the state. We've distilled all of this down to a very simple and a clear message, that there's a new New York State and it works for business. You'll see on this slide, this image will appear throughout the campaign. And it communicates, I think, three important things that we want to say. Number one, it is truly a new New York State. Second, it's statewide, as reinforced by the image of the state. And three, that New York works for business. Saying that New York State works for business is backed up by great proof points that the nation's leader in business and technology is back with renewed and unwavering commitment to business. It's also backed up by the fact that New York State is and remains a hotbed for innovation and creativity that brings together some of the best minds and resources across the country, across the state. In creating this campaign, we wanted to tell the story by capturing the pace and the energy that is uniquely New York. And at the same time, we wanted to celebrate and ignite the state's renewed focus on the business community. And at the heart of the campaign, at the core of it, we've got spots that root this campaign in real stories of real businesses that are growing and thriving in the new New York. We show how businesses can be married to the assets and the resources made available by this state. These are businesses we selected from around the state in industries including technology, agriculture, manufacturing, and green jobs. We also have an intro spot that takes into consideration the broader changes the state is making for business. Our goal with the whole campaign is, well, it's big and it's really simple. We want business to stay, grow, invest, and thrive in New York State, specifically among business executives and key decision makers. And this is just the beginning. We'll be developing business stories specific to other regions to ensure that the entire state gets the coverage it deserves. And it all launches this weekend. Now, all of this work will drive to a new website, thenewny.com. Again, thenewny.com. It's new, we've developed it, and we're hosting it. It's actually up and running today. This website has the ability to help guide individuals and businesses to establish themselves in New York State, find a site for their business, explore funding and tax incentives, to learn about business resources and requirements, expand their business with strategic regional funding, introduce their business to new markets around the globe, keep up with the business activity across the state, and to connect with the right state partners to help their business grow. This site is literally a gateway or a portal, maybe is a better way to say it, to everything that we have, all of the assets and all the resources. So, again, it's thenewny.com. In terms of exposure, our media plan focuses on in-state and national placements of television. The TV buy is approximately $12 million over an 8-week period. The mix between national and in-state is about 50-50, reflecting our twin goals of recruitment of new business as well as growth of existing business. And the exposure is equally distributed both upstate and down. And again, as you can see from the slides, these are precisely the kinds of media outlets that key decision makers go to for their news and their information. Over the course of the campaign, our target audience should see a spot roughly about 20 times. A significant print and digital campaign will follow this campaign in television and appear in magazines and newspapers, on business-focused websites, and in highly trafficked out-of-home areas such as JFK and LaGuardia Airport. Again, the stories we tell are real stories of real businesses, and they serve as examples of how your business can experience some of the same things that they have in this great state. And importantly, we're not the ones telling the story. Again, it's these businesses and the people behind them that are the ones telling the story. Stories like how a manufacturer rebuilt with the state's help after a natural disaster, an agricultural company that's leading the way in making New York State the leader of all things Greek yogurt, a nanotechnology effort between world-class companies that is defining the state as the global leader in nanotechnology, and even a company that's bringing green technology right to the heart of the Bronx. And we're launching the campaign in a way that only New York can, with real New Yorkers and real businesses from all over the Empire State. So with that, we're going to run the reel. I want you to watch and listen closely. You might even recognize a few of the folks in the sounds.
The flood that hit BAE Systems on the 8th and 9th of September was devastating.
All of us were very scared for the business to move elsewhere. New York State stepped in and offered great tax breaks and incentives for BAE Systems to stay here in the area.
New York State, to me, is a great state to live in. I really can't see being anywhere else.
The new New York works for business. Find out how it can work for yours at thenewny.com.
Smith Electric manufactures all-electric delivery trucks.
The state of New York is promoting green job growth, and now is thriving.
Smith Electric is going to bring a lot of job opportunities for people in the community.
Watching these trucks coming into the Bronx and bringing jobs, I'm electrified.
The new New York works for business. Find out how it can work for yours at thenewny.com.
New York State has been a great place for FIA to grow and thrive. New York State has greatly cut down on the bureaucratic red tape and all the layers of bureaucracy that they had in the past. The grant allows us to hire more people, make more yogurt. I'm not sure that any other state could have done what New York State has done for us.
The new New York works for business. Find out how it can work for yours at thenewny.com.
New York State had a vision to be the center of the activity in nanotechnology. New York got IBM, Intel, Global Foundries, Samsung, and TSMC to invest over $4.4 billion.
I wanted to lead nanoscale science, so my future is here in New York State.
The new New York works for business. Find out how it can work for yours at thenewny.com. This is New York State. We built the first railway, the first trade route to the West, the greatest empires. Then some said we lost our edge. Well, today, there's a new New York State. One that's working to attract businesses and create jobs. The place where innovation meets determination and businesses lead the world. The new New York works for business. Find out how it can work for yours at thenewny.com.
So in case you missed it, that was actually Robert De Niro's voice, and the iconic music, the great Grammy Award-winning track from Jay-Z with the vocals of Alicia Keys' Empire State of Mind. And we're really proud of the work. Again, this is only phase one. We've got more stories to tell, but we couldn't be more pleased and more excited for the potential that this has. So thank you.
Really, really well done. Another round of applause for BBD&O.
Thank you.
Great. Any questions?
Governor, can you talk just a little bit about the evolution on teacher evaluations? I mean, earlier in the week you had said that this was a chance it might not actually get done, and then sure enough they wanted to take it. Some lawmakers even saying this bill was better than nothing. How did that all play out?
I think you saw it play out. I don't think there was any postscript on how it played out. We put forth a bill. We had been speaking for weeks. We had many conversations. We had not arrived at a consensus. We were at the last week of session. I put in a bill at a point where there couldn't really be any more negotiation because the time was running out. I said it was an opportunity for me to communicate my position, if nothing else, and the legislators would have to decide if they wanted to pass it. I'm grateful and appreciative, and I think they did the exact right thing in passing the bill. I think it was the right balance, and I applaud them for passing it. But I didn't know that they would, but I applaud them for doing it.
Several lawmakers have said during the debate that they expect that it'll be revisited within about 6 months to a year, that changes are going to be needed, and it's fluid. Have you given any promises, or were there any discussions of possible amendments moving forward?
Maybe with another governor they were talking, Ken, not with me. No, I have no intention of revisiting the bill in 6 months or a year.
Governor, on the Assembly floor during the debate, the sponsor of the bill said that, and other people did also say that the bill was aimed at New York City newspapers, that they were being irresponsible essentially by publishing this information. Was that your intention in putting this bill in?
What was the accusation again?
That the newspapers were being irresponsible essentially by publishing.
Newspapers being irresponsible? Hark, who said that? How could that be? On what theory? In what state? Have you ever heard of such a thing?
New York.
New York. It had nothing to do with it, no. Not from my point of view.
Governor, I don't have a question per se. I've been working with the inventors of the maglev training, and we have redone that engineering all over again since the Germans built it in China and the Japanese built their own system in Japan. And we need not so much money, we need partners in order to get our TIGA grant approved. We need partners in municipalities and states and other localities. And I was wondering, would you be interested in finding out more so we can work with you and help? This is thousands of jobs if we can make this happen. And we can do it at a lower price than the conventional high-speed rail that's being touted all over the country.
I sure would, and you're in the right place. Ken Adams, who is the president of Empire State Development Corporation, is exactly the right person to talk to, and I'll get with you after this.
I know Ken.
Good.
Issuing a message of necessity today?
I'm sorry, Mike?
Will you be issuing a message of necessity?
I believe so. The situation has come up today, literally, a New York City-based situation where they have two relatively urgent issues. They are both technical. I haven't gone through them in depth, but on one, there is a mistake on their pension fund, the way they're administering their pension fund, and they need a technical correction for the financial integrity of the pension fund. And one bill where if there's not a technical correction, 300,000 New Yorkers will get a property tax increase in condos all throughout the city. And I have a letter from the city asking for a message of necessity on those issues. And my inclination is to grant it. I've said, especially this week, that messages of necessity should be used sparingly. And I didn't intend to use any this week, but there is a purpose for a message of necessity when there's a necessity, and I believe in the past they've been overused. But the way New York City portrays this situation, Mike, it is a necessity.
Can you provide us the documentation
Yeah.
on those bills?
Yes, we can.
Governor, part of that deal that the legislature is seeking for this, they want this message of necessity, it has to do with the J51 tax abatement and the 421A program. These have been issues that have been around for a long time. Is it really a necessity to get done today?
Yeah, I literally told you everything I know as of now. So I'm going to go in and review the letter from the city and take it from there. But that's all I know right now.
Governor, do you think this ad campaign is going to mean much to small companies that may only have 10 or 20 employees, but who are the vast majority of employers in the state?
Yeah, I think, as you heard from Howard, two things. First, you almost have to do it just to stay competitive. You have other states trying to poach New York all the time, and they've been doing it for a very long time. They've been attacking us. We haven't even had our hands up as a matter of self-defense, And I think in many ways it was part of the incompetence of Albany for years that the economic development activities were not what they should have been. So first, you almost have to do it just to defend yourself from attack. Second, I think not only are the ads well done, but the basic point is you want companies contacting you. You just want to get them in the door. You want them going to the website. You want them calling ESDC. And when we have them in communication, chances are very good that we can work something out. Also, to the extent they change and they attack the negative of New York, sort of head on, I like that. We're not hiding that New York has had a reputation for being an anti-business or problematic for business. And we're saying it's new, we get it, we heard it, we're different, we changed, and we're new. So I think that helps also.
I was wondering if you had a reaction to the president's executive order from last week dealing with the deportation of young immigrants.
I support it. I think it was a good thing. I think immigration is a big positive for this country. Anyone who has a question, they should look at this state. We're all about immigration, and it is a tremendous, tremendous asset.
The Legislative session is over, so are you going to throw support?
Don't ask the question, Ken. Just stop yourself now. Stop yourself. Control.
Still governor.
Will you support Senator Sanders, but also are you going to endorse in any of the congressional primaries in the next couple of days?
I am going to turn to politics now. Not that the session is over, by the way, technically. But after the session, we'll turn to politics. I'll first turn to the congressional races, which obviously are coming up soon. Anything from my colleagues? Dean? No.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you very much. Thank you all very much.